What's up, boys and girls? Welcome to the channel. This is Tyler Tote. I don't know if you're like me, but sometimes in my life I feel stuck. I feel like I want to get to these new levels. I need a miracle. I just feel like things aren't working my way. And I oftentimes will pray hard. I oftentimes start to work hard. I'm in that grind mode, but I don't feel like I'm moving the needle. And as I've studied this and I've talked to a lot of smart people on this, I really truly believe we miss the biggest step when we're trying to get to new levels, when we're trying to grow, which I assume everybody watching this is. Now, this is hard to speak on, guys, but to be honest, about a decade ago, about 12, 13 years ago in my life, I was in the lowest spot imaginable. I had lost a large sum of my wealth, long relationship had ended, and I just felt really stuck. In fact, I remember sitting on the rooftop where I lived at the time in Chicago. I'd sit up there many nights all alone, 2, 3 in the morning. I'd overlook the city, and I just think, what's the point of this? I need a miracle. I just, every day I'm spinning my wheels. I don't see the point of anything. Now, perhaps you find yourself not in as dramatic of a situation. Maybe it's just a job you feel stuck, a relationship doesn't seem to be moving forward. Maybe you're in a marriage today that you're like, hey, we're just more roommates. I don't know, we need a miracle to get a little better, right? Whatever that thing is for you, I want to go over the biggest step today in a principle I think we can take away from the Bible that really illustrates this. So let's dive in. So if you're familiar with the channel at all, I always have a big saying on here. I say, hey, you need to pray hard and then move your feet and work your butt off for the things you pray for. I believe too often we're simply content to just, I'll pray about it. You know, even a friend shares with you, man, I'm really struggling, this or that. I'll pray for you. How many times do we not then, of course, too? But, I think right then, man, hey, let's pray and then let's ask, what's the next action step? I don't go out in the middle of the highway and just pray for God to save me. I don't go out in the middle of the highway. So I think that's a big step. And oftentimes, praying and moving your feet, those are the best things you can do. But what about when you still feel stuck? Feel like, man, I've been in this season for a year, for 2 years, this job, the boss, whatever these patterns are in our life that I just feel like I'm constantly spinning my wheels. Well, let me read a story from one of the best books of all time. After this, Jesus went to the farther side of the Sea of Galilee, that is the Sea of Tiberias. And a great crowd was following him because they had seen the signs and miracles which he had continually performed upon those who were sick. And Jesus walked up to the mountainside and sat down there with his disciples. Now the Passover, the feast of the Jews, was approaching. Jesus looked up then, and seeing the vast multitude was coming toward him, he said to Philip, where are we to buy bread so that all these people can eat? But he said this to prove and test him, for he well knew what he was about to do. Philip answered him, 200 pennies, $40 worth of bread, is not enough that everyone may receive a little. Another of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, there's a little boy here who has with him 5 barley loaves and 2 small fish. But what are they among so many people? Jesus said, make all the people go sit down. Now the ground was covered with a thick grass at the spot, and the men threw themselves down. There were 5,000 in total. Jesus took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed to the disciples, and the disciples to the people. So also did with the fish, and they had as much as they wanted. When they had all had enough, he said to his disciples, gather up the fragments so that nothing may be wasted. So accordingly they gathered them up, they filled their 12 small baskets, and left by those who had eaten from them. When the people saw this miracle that Jesus had performed, they began saying, surely without a doubt he is a prophet, and this prophet has come into the world. That's John 6, verses 1 through 14. Now to illustrate that text, what really happened, Jesus came across the sea. There's 5,000, and other text says 5,000 men, so this didn't even count the women and children. So let's just say we got 8,000-ish people that need to eat. We got 2 fish, 5 loaves of bread, and $40. That's not really going to cut it. So they've been listening to Jesus speak all day, and he needs to feed these people, and they need a miracle. They're in it. Hey, these people are hungry. These people, what are we going to do? We need a miracle. Now, when we read that text, I think it's easy to just say, well, Jesus is the Son of God. He performed a miracle. But I believe he modeled something very, very important here in verse 11, and I want to re-highlight this as for us. Verse 11 starts out, Jesus took the loaves, and he gave thanks. The thanks came before the miracle. This always passed me by as I'd read and I'd heard this story probably 100 times growing up. But I recently listened to a sermon that said Jesus modeled this and gave thanks before the miracle. And then it went on to say, we should pray for things like they're already done. Bring them to our Heavenly Father and say, thank you for all the blessings you've given me. And I'm going to pray for these that I get out of this situation too, that I get unstuck from this too. Again, I'm going to keep moving my feet, but I'm going to give thanks for where I'm at. Guys, I talk about this a lot on the channel. I believe it's the most important aspect of living a great life. You're either stuck in traffic or you're grateful you have a car and places to go. Every single day, you're gonna have these choices in your life where you can choose to focus on the grumbling and what you lack, or you can be grateful and choose to focus on the blessings. I genuinely believe nothing will change your life more than this. So if you're in a season of stuck, if you're in a season of, man, I want to get out of this season and move on to that next level of my life, I would urge you today to zoom back a little bit. Stop spinning the wheels so much and just simply say a prayer of thanks and start to focus on what you do have. Thank God for the many blessings you have. Even if you don't get out of that season right away, I promise you, I've experienced this firsthand, changing your heart and renewing your mind will make those circumstances better as you do move out of them. A really easy example I can give, I've lived this, is I worked and managed a bank for about 6 years. About 2 years into that, to be honest, I felt this other calling. I felt what I'm doing now. I wanted to coach and lead men and help and lead guys to fitness and health and habits and do all the things I'm doing now. I felt super passionate that this was my calling. I woke up every morning and I prayed, hey God, is it time yet? Is it time yet? As I started to build a following on social media and started having guys pay me more than I was making at the bank, towards the end of that last year, I was still praying, God, is it time yet? And I felt like it wasn't. And so one day I decided, I'll never forget this. I said to my wife, I no longer work for the bank. I work for Jesus Christ and I represent him at this bank. And so every day when I would go into that bank, which I'll be very honest, I didn't love. I wasn't very good at. Anybody who worked with me could tell you I was high energy, I was real positive, I was a friendly guy. I didn't know anything about policies, procedures, all the ways to run a bank. I continually messed up things even though I tried my absolute hardest. I just wasn't very good at it. It wasn't my calling. But I genuinely went in there the last year or so of my banking career with that mindset. Hey God, while I'm in this season of at the bank where I don't really want to be for 10 hours of the day, which is most of my waking hours, I'm going to give thanks. I'm going to assume that you have me exactly where you want me to impact somebody today. I'm going to be the best version of myself today and work for you. I'm going to choose to focus on my blessings here and not that what I lack over there. So it's kind of a cheesy saying, right? It's, the grass is always greener on the other side. We'll just water your own grass. But it's really applicable. And a lot of times these cheesy sayings really do matter. And so if you find yourself in a season of, man, I'm stuck, this or that isn't exactly where I want to be, I would urge you today to take the most crucial step that we often overlook. Pause. Give thanks. Focus on your blessings. I'll link another video below, but I talk about gratitude so much on this channel because nothing changed my life more. Every morning I wake up and I spend 2 to 3 minutes, that's it guys, journaling a couple things that happened the day before that I'm super grateful for. And I say a quick prayer, God, renew my heart, give me a new mind, help me to focus on those blessings. As a selfish human, my earthly sinful nature, my desires are always going to focus on what I lack. I wish I had more money, more followers, more this, more that, right? That's just how my brain works. So I beg the Lord, help me, give me that spirit, cultivate that within me, that sense of gratitude. And then again, I pray for it, I say thanks, and I move my feet towards it by journaling every day, by praying and focusing on those things. So guys, if you find yourself in this season today, I'm urging you, I'm begging you, turn this video off in 30 seconds. Say a quick prayer, renew your heart, renew your mind, be thankful for where you're at right now, give thanks, focus on the blessings, find joy in the journey and where you're at. If you want a great book recommendation, read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. This was a guy who was tortured in Nazi prison camps, and yet he found joy amongst them. I read Paul in the New Testament again, who's in Roman prisons, and we ain't talking Martha Stewart prisons here. We're talking Roman prisons, probably getting beaten daily, starved. And yet in Romans, he says, I have so much joy every day. So, if Paul can be in a Roman prison getting beaten and tortured, if Viktor Frankl can be in a Nazi prison camp and still say, I have joy, I truly believe wherever you're at today, you have things to be thankful for. You just have to shift your perspective in your mind onto those things. That's the step. Once you have that step, then it's again, waking up every day and praying and working your butt off for the life that you do want and you want to create. So friend, wherever you find yourself today, I'd ask you to just pause a moment. Say a prayer of thanks. Write down what you're grateful for. Share that with your wife, your spouse, your kids, whatever. Start talking in that language. I am grateful for the blessings that I've been given. Life is truly all a gift. It goes fast. Turning 40, it's really hit me lately that, man, I'm halfway probably through my journey, right? If I'm lucky. We don't have as much time as we think. Take some more time to smell the roses, be grateful for the things you have where you're at, and keep moving towards that life you want to create. Much love, guys. Go be kind to yourself. Go be kind to others. Let's change the world today, baby. Thanks for tuning in. Have the best day.